Hi, welcome back to the Petersen Automotive Museum YouTube channel. I'm Johnny Eisen, Associate Curator here at the Petersen, and we're here in the lobby where we're going to look at Honda's first concept car, the 1984 HPX. So the HPX was designed by famed Italian design house Pininfarina, and it features obviously a very distinctive wedge shape. The wedge movement was a design movement that began in the very early 1960s when car designers eschewed the voluptuous curves of the post-war era in favor of flat planes and this very distinctive pointy design. Now, by the 1980s, they went back and they softened it a bit, as we see here. There's no more sharp angles. This car has a little bit curved edges, and it's a pretty cool, futuristic look at the 1980s. So, of course, one of the most distinctive details are these cool lines that accentuate the wedge shape. They're strakes, very similar to the Ferrari Testarossa from the same era. This was a really popular design element for cars at that time. We also saw it in a lot of custom body kits that were applied to various cars. Think of the Mercedes Koenig Specials, which always had these strakes that were applied, big wide fenders. This car uses them, I think, pretty tastefully as a way of just kind of accentuating that wedge shape, the doorstop shape as it's sometimes called. The HPX was never meant for production. It was simply a concept car and a design study. It was really meant to be a glimpse of the future for Honda. Honda was known mostly for their economy cars like the Civic on the international stage. They had built a few sports cars for the Japanese market in the 1960s, and by the 1980s wanted to start making performance cars for the rest of the world. In 1983, they started to supply engines for Formula One, and indeed this car was designed for a dual overhead cam 24-valve engine V6 that would have been derived from that Formula One engine. So the HPX was a test bed for some futuristic ideas and construction techniques. The body features carbon fiber and Kevlar in its construction. The car has this magnificent perspex canopy, almost like a fighter plane cockpit. It also has a driver-controlled air brake on the back, where the back section would flip up and help slow the car down. It also features an electronic driver assist system, purely theoretical, but it would have given you real-time telemetry, road conditions using sonar, as well as GPS. A very far-looking glimpse of the future. This car made its debut at the 1984 Turin Motor Show. It then was in storage for several decades, and in 2022, Honda began a restoration process with this car, and it came back at the 2023 Pebble Beach show in Northern California. So it is extremely fragile because it's a 40-year-old concept car, and we can't open the canopy, so please excuse the glare when we look at the interior. So obviously the HPX doesn't have any doors. We do see some handles inside where you would have handles for doors, but really what happens is this canopy lifts up and you would lift yourself over the edge and sit down. Now, Honda didn't actually tell us which way this canopy opens. Does it open this way or does it open this way? We're not sure, and there are no photographs of it with the top up. So speculate in the comments and let us know which way this whole thing works. So this car was an inspiration for future Hondas, both Hondas of the 80s and beyond. Obviously, a mid-engine V6 powered sports car was a big inspiration for the NSX. But we also see some CRX in this car. You see that mid-80s Civic look. The blue with the red stripe and the white reminds me a lot of the CRX of the mid-80s. Those cars, I think, had the blue on top with the red stripe and then silver on the bottom. But clearly, this car is very much late 20th century Honda. So that side strake design motif is also repeated here in this really cool one-piece taillight that goes across the back of the car. It sort of reminds me a little bit of a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica, or maybe a Geordi from Star Trek Next Generation's eye mask. Very much the future as was imagined in the 1980s. And that brings up an interesting subject. This car is here at the Petersen in the lobby for another 3 weeks or so, and it's serving as a preview of 2 upcoming shows for this summer here at the Petersen. One being Totally Awesome, our show all about 80s and 90s cars, culture, and technology, and The Right Angle, our show all about wedge cars, which will be up on the 2nd floor. So the HPX features a really wonderful futuristic interior. You've got these awesome molded seats with this great maroon suede surrounding this gray material in the center of the seats. Behind the seats, we'll see 2 pieces of custom luggage with the same color scheme. I really love that steering wheel that is coming out of the dash. It really looks like what you'd imagine the space shuttle cockpit to be in 1984. You've got lots of buttons, which was a big deal in the 1980s. It's showing all the technology in this car. And really, it's incredibly unique, one-of-a-kind look at the future. The dimensions of this car are actually pretty compact. It's 164 inches long, which is actually 4 inches shorter than a current GR86. It also has only 15-inch wheels on it, which were certainly common in the 1980s. Today, we're used to sports cars having pretty large wheels, 17, 18, 19, or even 20 inches. But back then, 15 inches was enough.